Building wealth can sometimes feel like you actually working on a treadmill, in that you might be making all the right choices, putting in all the sacrifices, and yet still you'll be stuck in one place. And that is why in today's video, we'll be looking at the 7 ways that you're actually losing money without even realizing. And so if you're new here, my name is Nana. I hold a master's degree in business finance. And on this channel, we discuss everything personal finance and personal development. And so without further ado, we just move to the first point, which is becoming a subscription creep. And so there are several other subscriptions out there that you might have that may not be serving any purpose or might not be delivering any value to you at the end of the month. And that is not mainly because of any omissions or probably any negligence on your side. Sometimes as human, we might think we need something and then subsequently we realize that we don't need it anymore. But the gravest mistake that you can do after subscribing to these outlets out there is to not actually go on to adjust or to reflect on the subscriptions that you're paying for without actually getting any value from. And so the easiest way to actually go on and solve this problem is to sit down at the end of the month and then go through all your expenses, and you'd realize that there may be some subscriptions that you're actually not using. However, you're paying for them on a monthly basis. And trust me, because I know people who are paying in excess of £400 on a yearly basis for subscriptions that they do not even use. And so the first thing that you need to consider are the subscriptions that you're actually paying for without getting any value from. This brings us to the second point, and that is high interest debt. So according to a recent survey, about 41% of all high income earners in the US, that is people who are earning more than $100,000, are more likely to take on credit card loans. A further 39%, that is in relation to the middle income households, are equally more likely to also take on credit card loans. And then the further 30%, that is in relation to households earning anywhere between $50,000 and then $60,000, were also more likely to take on credit card loans. And that has plunged millions of households into debt. And so the average household income in the US would be nowhere near the average debt that is being held in the economy. On average, APRs on credit card loans hover anywhere between 20 and 21%, which simply means that anytime that you make any purchases from your credit card, what that simply means is that you're paying in excess of 21% on that money that you spent through your credit card. And so what you need to do is to try as much as possible and then keep it on the minimum. Try and then use anywhere between 10 and 30% of your credit limit, and then that would ensure that you don't equally plunge yourself into further debt, and then you have more left at the end of the month to cater for your needs, and then more importantly, to invest for the long run. This brings us to the third point, and that is inflation and idle cash. So more often than not, what people believe is that saving would actually drive them towards their financial goals. But the truth about that is that you need to invest as opposed to saving in order for you to protect your finances or your money against the concept of inflation. And so inflation, for the avoidance of doubt, is the general rise in the prices of goods and services within an economy. So what simply happens within the economy is that the price of the groceries, the fuel, the clothes that we buy actually go up over time. And that simply means that that $1 that you save today will be less valuable, or it would purchase less of items in the near future, because the prices of goods and services would likely go up in the future. And so what you can do at this point is to invest your money as opposed to just saving, because inflation would wipe out a chunk of the value of the money that you're just putting in the savings account. On average, the savings account in the US actually bring in anywhere between 0.45%. And so adjusted for inflation, you're actually losing money just by saving money as opposed to investing in a high yield savings account, which also brings in excess money to actually offset the ravages caused by inflation in the economy. And so I'll link a video down in the description to actually expose you as to how you can actually put your money in high yield savings account and then not lose money as a result of just saving in a traditional bank, in that you'll be able to take advantage of the high yield savings accounts that return anywhere between 4 and 6% per annum, and then build wealth in the long run. This brings us to the fourth reason that people actually lose money without realizing, and that is impulse purchase. So one of the key reasons why people do not stick to their financial goals, and then at the end of the day they are not able to attain it, is simply because they spend beyond their budget or what they actually have to spend or what comes in at the end of the month. And one of the key reasons why this happens is simply because they do not have the self-discipline, or they are not motivated enough to actually stick to their budget. And so at this point, the best way to actually solve this problem is to shop online and then have it delivered to you. Because if you have the problem of actually buying anything that you see on impulse, then the best way to actually go about cutting down your expenses and then saving and investing more at the end of the month is to actually shop online and then have it delivered to you, because the delivery fee that comes with you actually shopping online is way less than the things that you might be purchasing on impulse if you were to walk directly into a shopping center. This brings us to the fifth point, and that is no using employee benefit. So there are several other companies out there that actually cover or issue discounts to their employees for services that are essential to your sustenance. For example, like you actually visiting the dentist or several other health related expenses that you may make. So the best way to actually take advantage of these things is to speak to your HR. But millions of people out there do not even know that these things exist, and so they go about to spend on these things without even knowing that there might be discounts or there might be some insurance packages that their companies are actually offering, which also actually go on in the long run to make sure that they are not able to stick to their budget. Secondly, what you can also do is to match your employer contributions to your pensions. And so matching your 401k to your employer actually ensures that you contribute more, and then also your employer also contributes more, because anytime that you contribute, your employer also matches the contribution. For example, for any $1 that you actually contribute, your employer might actually match it by 50%. That is, if you're able to contribute $1 towards your pension, your employer would also issue 50 cents more towards your pension. And so what you can do is that anytime that you increase such contributions towards your pensions, what that simply means is that your employer would also give you free money in the form of contributions, which also ensures that you have enough to fall back on when you finally retire. And that is free money that people actually tend to, walk away from. Millions and millions of people out there are doing this, and that is costing them their lifetime. This brings us to the sixth point, and that is poor energy efficiency. So contrary to the popular belief that anytime that you put an appliance on standby, it's not consuming electricity, research is proving that anytime that you put an appliance on standby, it actually does consume electricity and thereby increase your energy bills at the end of the month and probably at the end of the year. So one of the key things that you can actually do is to install a smart thermostat and then regulate your temperature around the house. Secondly, what you can also do is to install LED bulbs, which also ensures that your energy bills are really reduced and then you have enough to save and then to invest. Thirdly, what you can actually do is to seal all gaps beneath your doors and around your windows, which also ensures that you're not using excess electricity or excess heating, which also saves you a chunk of money at the end of the month. This brings us to the seventh and the last point, and that is food waste. So on average, the average household in the US actually wastes $1,500 according to research every single year to food waste. And that is a chunk of money that can actually be saved and then invested into other profitable ventures. And so what you can do at this point is to avoid purchasing groceries in bulk. Buy what you actually need and what you'd use within the shortest possible time. And then what you can do also is to try as much as possible and then use apps like Olio and Too Good To Go to actually schedule meals and then plan ahead of time to ensure that the waste is minimized and then you have enough left at the end of the month to save, and then more importantly to invest, and then subsequently steer yourself towards the attainment of your financial goals. And so thank you for spending time with us. If you found value in this video, kindly smash the like button and then consider following, because we'll be sharing several other tips on this platform on a weekly basis to ensure that you ensure the discipline and then subsequently you make the right choices to hit your financial goals at the end of the year. And so thank you once again, and then see you in the next video.